Hello everyone,
And welcome to another video
tonight we'll be watching Hallmark movies.
and rating them.
So as you can tell, we have a few guests here. This is Kendall, our brother, and Shannon, our sister-in-law, and they are going to help us watch movies.
It's a really difficult job.
Time for her to come home for Christmas.
Time for you to come home for Christmas. Time for me to come home.
Time for them to come home.
Oh, are these like different
Hallmark
movies?
Time for her to come home. Time for us to come home. Hanukkah on Rye.
Oh, maybe we need that.
We're going to start with An Ice Palace Romance. This is the story of a journalist who faces old fears when she returns to her hometown ice rink to cover a story. With the help of the owner and his young daughter, she begins to reevaluate her life's purpose.
I've actually not seen very many Hallmark movies.
I've seen a lot.
Okay, so we've got the
experienced
experts,
Hallmark movie watchers, the newbies.
and the one along for the ride. Okay, we ready?
Now I want to redo my story.
Yeah.
Why is mine live now?
So we finished watching, what was it called? An Ice Rink Romance?
No,
No.
An Ice Palace.
Palace romance.
Oh, okay. So we finished watching An Ice Palace. So we finished watching An Ice Palace Romance, and Kendall's going to start with sharing his thoughts and then the rating that he gave it.
Yeah, so the acting, I think it was pretty bad. The supporting actors, they weren't that good. They had a whisking scene where she said he was incorrectly whisking when he was correctly whisking. Told him that he was going to meringue the eggs with yolks in it. Not good.
Whoa. You're meringuing those eggs. You just gotta slow down a little bit, like this.
Yeah, they were in and out of focus many times for the picture. That was pretty bad. He had pretty bad owl hair, just up in the front here, just owl. And overuse of her red jacket. He also committed investment fraud, I believe. Did fraud at the end, so that tanked it a little bit.
Well, I had some different ideas. I think overall I was thinking about other Hallmark movies because I've seen quite a few. And so for the acting, I thought it was pretty good. Even the kids were pretty good. They weren't too cheesy. As for dialogue, the love interest Mark asked, what is her name? I never got it. Lori, to check out the Ice Palace after they had both been there together talking. I thought that was kind of weird. And at one point, the villain just said, "I love winning." It's a little cheesy for me. Oh, and finally, Lori told her friend she wanted to save the Ice Palace, and then went straight to Mark and said, "Give up." So, a 3 out of 5 for that. The picture, I say 5 out of 5. I didn't see any problems. Although Kendall did mention the going in and out of focus, but I didn't notice it, but I'm not quite the photographer camera guy. For costume, I also agreed with Kendall. Mark's hair was a little too wild for me, and they really relied on that red coat to finish off her outfits. Let's see, the plot was okay. One thing we all noticed was she was writing a story for a newspaper about the ice rink, and she made it skewed towards demolishing the ice rink, and then she was mad that she did that. I feel like she could have just done it the other way, and it would have been fine. Final details, I felt the tree lighting was pretty underwhelming for what they made it out to be, so...
3, 2, 1.
What do you think, Maddie?
1 second.
We started our filming, just so you know.
I do not have as many thoughts or succinct ideas, but I mean, pretty similar to both of them. The acting, it seemed pretty good for a Hallmark movie, but not very good for a normal movie. I literally didn't write anything down. Well, it's mostly the whisking. He didn't know what a whisk was, but he could make pretzels perfectly and sold them at the ice rink.
Do you have a whiz?
Yeah. That's straight,
I thought it was okay, but I would definitely not watch it again.
You asked me what I think.
Oh, Amelia, what do you think?
My thoughts came mainly in the plot of the story, but For acting, I thought it was quite annoying. I also didn't enjoy the child, whatever her name was, Zoe. I don't know.
Yeah.
She kind of got on my nerves. Otherwise, dialogue was lacking. I gave that 1.5 stars. I just hated how... Sorry, 1.5 snowflakes. I hated how matter-of-fact everyone was. They just said exactly what they thought. There was no tension. There was nothing there. For picture, I'm not that picky either. It was fine, but I didn't like how they never showed her face when they were ice skating.
No, they did, but like...
But, like, they never show her full body when she was ice skating.
Well, do they normally do that in other movies?
It was just...
Very obvious.
Yeah, it was very obvious.
I disagreed on the coat. I thought the most realistic part of the whole movie was that she wore the same coat. Okay, plot. It was very rushed. The beginning felt very long, and we didn't really know why she wanted to get this job. We knew that she really wanted it, but what was the reason behind that? We knew what she was scared of. We knew she was scared of going to that town. She did face her fear, but we never saw the build-up to that. She just kind of started ice skating again, and we never knew what overcoming her fear would actually accomplish. And the characters, they hit it off with a bang, but even after Laurie lied to Mark when they first met,
We've met before. You're Susan Marshall's sister, right, Lori?
Nope. No.
and after she said some really unsupportive things about his business, he still just kind of went along with it, and it didn't really make sense. It was a good plot element that she had to choose between her job and Mark, except you never actually knew why she wanted the job so badly, like I said, and you never knew how Mark and Laurie were compatible, except for that they liked ice skating. I gave this movie a 2.1 out of 5 snowflakes.
I gave this movie 2.6 snowflakes.
I gave this movie 3.8.
And I gave it 2.6 snowflakes as well. Shannon liked the movie. It was a better Hallmark movie than I've seen before. I would not watch it again.
No.
Okay, are we ready for the next one?
I think we're ready.
Okay, now we gotta pick it. Okay, so we have picked our second movie. It is A Bride for Christmas, and it was made in 2012. We're gonna try a little bit of an older one. This is after Jessie calls off her third engagement. She swears off serious relationships until she finds the one. That is, until charming but chronically single Aiden comes along.
We're not saying that 2012 was a really long time ago, or that it's vintage. It's just the oldest that we could find.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh, it's 10:30?
Yeah, we still have like 5 minutes to watch.
You keep changing the number. First it was 2, then it was 3, now it's 5. So we actually didn't watch A Bride for Christmas because they had both seen it. So we started it and then they realized they'd seen it. So we ended up watching A Dream of Christmas.
So A Dream of Christmas is basically she's married to somebody and she's regretting being married to them, which sounds terrible. And then randomly this wish gets granted because she says out loud, I wish I'd never been married. And she wakes up and she's never been married, and her husband doesn't know who she is, her sister's husband doesn't know who she is, and so she goes on a quest to reconnect with her husband who's not her husband anymore, and that's the plot of the movie.
So I was pleasantly surprised by this one. It was much better in my opinion than the one we previously watched, and for acting I thought it was much more quality. Dialogue was interesting. I thought #traffic was a unique line.
When these are done well, they can go viral in an instant and generate more hashtag traffic than rush hour on the I-90.
I did like the emotional support oranges though. That was also unique.
Christmas orange, nice.
Yeah, I find them comforting this time of year. Relaxes me.
Otherwise, it was pretty standard. As far as picture quality, it was fairly good. A few weird camera angles, and also I felt like all of his photography kind of looked like stock photos. Costumes, I thought were better than the last one. They kind of reflected the personalities a little better. Plot was okay. It
it wasn't really a quest she was going on. There was like not really any stakes or anything that she really had to do because she was just kind of realizing that she wanted to be with her husband again. But overall, I enjoyed this one a lot more than whatever the one we previously watched was called.
Okay, I also liked this one better than A Nice Palace Romance. The acting, I thought the kid that was barely in it, Chad, was not a very good actor, but other love interest was super annoying, and I did not find him handsome, though he did.
Yeah. He thought he was handsome for sure.
I thought it was pretty good. Nothing like amazing, but good, I guess. And the picture, not really anything to say about that, except for the one scene that just weirdly zooms in and bokehs a lot. The costume, I just thought it was pretty good. It wasn't anything that I didn't think the characters would wear, and they weren't like amazing costumes, but just like normal. And then I liked the plot better. There were some inconsistencies where they were supposed to be in one place. They were supposed to be picking out a Christmas tree, but she couldn't do it, but then she was at the mall when they did it, and so it didn't really make any sense. But I thought it kept my interest more than the other one. It was predictable, but I thought it was pretty good.
As for the acting, I have to agree, the kids were not good in this movie. They didn't seem super aware of their actions or like what they were saying. I also thought it was a weird choice that they made the main character super hungry after the first wish was granted. I didn't really get the point of that. As for dialogue, at the end, the main character asks her husband, who's not her husband, to never forget her, even though he's getting married to someone else, and he was like, oh, I wish there was another time where I'd marry you, and it's like, you don't have to marry that other girl.
Can you just promise me something? If I never see you again, don't forget me.
As for picture, did not like the bokeh. It happened a lot. At the same time, the photographer used to be husband loves bokeh, so I feel like that's a tie-in.
I can't quite make out the fiber optic trees in the background. They're out of focus.
Oh yeah, that's intentional.
A lot of the sets were very staged, especially outside. It was very evident that they weren't actually in a street, they were just in a set somewhere. As for costumes, I thought they had a good mixture. Didn't settle on one thing like their other one with her just in the red coat. And then for the plot, this is where I had my lowest ratings. Even though I liked the movie, I thought it was weird the personal assistant that she has just goes along with her delusion and it's like, okay, well, I'll get over it, and doesn't take her to a hospital or something. Also, she's in a marketing firm, but their artistry is really terrible, and the photographer actually wasn't that good.
These are wonderful images, Stu.
Kendall?
Yeah, I agree with the acting. I think it was very, very bad. I think you'll see at the end that my take on this movie was a little bit different from the rest of the group here. It's all bad. Mr. Handsome, because he was the worst. He was just CEO and I'm CEO. The guy he was talking about himself all the time and how he was just really go with the flow and really didn't have any sort of personality other than I want to date you and you should date me. He tried to kiss her on the first date, which wasn't really a date because they just became business partners. Very, very bad. The dialogue, yeah, really, really bad. They had some lines, like she said her name was Penny, and he's like, oh, like Penelope? She's like, no, like the coin.
I'm very impressed, Penny like the coin.
They used hashtag traffic. Shannon talked about that. They were talking about their marketing, and there was going to be so much hashtag traffic with their new marketing scheme. And she had to translate, and her translation was also not good.
Oh, translation. A lot of people are going to see this promotion in a very cost-effective and media-savvy way.
They're walking around, and this was with her husband, who wasn't her husband at the time because she'd made the wish, talking about trees, and she goes, wow, it's a Douglas fir.
Oh, look. Douglas fir.
And he says, you really know your trees. It's just terrible. I liked the picture. It was okay. There was that zoomy, blurry spot that probably lasted 4 seconds too long. They could have just cut the scene. I don't think we mentioned in the last movie, but they kept in the commercial breaks where it just fades to black. This one did the same thing. Terrible. Don't do that. They should cut these out for their movies on their streaming service. But yeah, not bad. Costume, also not too much to comment on. I think they did a good job when you don't notice that their outfits are terrible. I think they do okay. On the plot, I probably gave the worst out of everybody. Yeah, their artistry, the pictures for what she created for marketing would not sell at all. It was very bad. They were rebranding. Their logo was just a G for what was it?
Gilliam's.
Gilliam's? I don't even. Gillingham. It was weird. Gillingham? Yeah, it was Gillingham. I don't know. It was, she like had terribly drawn Christmas trees. They were trying to go for the fiber optic trees. Then at the end, she goes back. Finally, she gets her wish reversed, and she wakes up from her fall, and decides she's not going to take the promotion that she desperately wanted because they needed money to pay for his photography career. And so she decides she's going to quit her job and become his marketer, which I think was ridiculous because they didn't have enough money to live in the first place. So how are they going to live now that they're not making money? And to go on top of that was the wish fairy lady. She didn't make any sense at all. She granted the wish, wasn't even asking for it, but she granted it. And then at the end, she's like, I want to go back. I don't want to do this anymore. And she said, sorry. Big man says no.
Truth be told, the boss is a little ticked off with me, too.
And there's no reason for it. We don't even meet this big man. We have no idea who he is. And this lady is just like, nope, not going to do it.
It didn't make any sense for the movie, because she gave no way for her to go back, which in the end, there ended up being a way to go back because she found this angel thing that she would put on the top of the tree. And as soon as she put it on the top of the tree, she fell over and she woke up. And she was married again.
So yeah, really, no plot to this thing at all. Pretty bad.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like the plot wasn't good, but I enjoyed the movie better. Maybe that's. Okay. Well.
My final score for this was 2.1 snowflakes.
My final score was just 1/10 of a snowflake more at 3.9.
Mine was 3.8.
3.35.
Wow, we've got some
specific.
Yeah.
On to the next.
Yep. But first, we're gonna make some hot chocolate.
There's hot chocolate here.
So we have made some hot chocolate, and we are prepared for the next movie.
This movie is It's Time for Me to Come Home for Christmas. And the description says Kara meets with her banker while country star Heath plays a concert. When their flight to Tulsa is canceled, this pair travels together to get home in time for the holidays. It stars Josh Henderson and Megan Park. I'm sure those are some household names that you know. Directors is David Winning, and I'm sure that is what this movie is going to be. Winning.
Have you been planning that?
No, I just made that up right now.
Okay. Cheers.
It's 124 minutes. It's TVG, made in 2018.
It's not 124 minutes.
Hour and 24 minutes. That's what I meant. You know it's holiday when it's time for me to come home.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Okay, this is gonna be an interesting video. Here we go.
If anyone thought we were weird, get ready for Weird 2.0.
Weird with
It might be Weird 1.0. It's time for me to come home for Christmas. The part 6 of a series that's not related at all to any of the other movies, I don't think. Acting, bad. 5 minutes in, very, very bad. Super staged. They were not trying. I don't believe they were trying. The only other note I have on the acting other than that it was bad was the final song that this guy wrote to save his career was lip-synced, but it was not synced. They were trying to sing the words, but it was not synced at all. You could tell that they sang this, recorded it at a later time. The dialogue, it was also terrible. The main character guy, Heath or Lee or Leland.
Didn't he say Hector?
Hector, maybe. He was talking to his mom and said he'd come home for summer. And his mom said, "This summer isn't Christmas." And that was a very bad line. He meets this kid named Alex in the airport who's traveling alone. Immediately he starts calling this kid Lex. Doesn't know this kid at all. He ends up talking to this girl Kara who he meets, who is the other love interest, the other main character. And she's losing her business. They don't have enough funding. They're not going to get a loan. He comes back. He's like, oh, I can give you the money. He makes her dad mad, makes her mad. He leaves. Well, he comes back and he says, I'm sorry, I apologize. I overstepped my bounds. And she says, wow, you really have a way with words. And I think they kiss or something. And oof, yeah, that's some bad dialogue. Picture was okay. They still faded into commercials yet again. I almost didn't notice it the first time because it was pretty good, but the other 3 or 4 times it was probably 2 seconds of black of nothing. The costumes weren't too bad. Their clothing choices were pretty good, other than he spilled coffee on her during some of the first few minutes of the movie, that when they were stuck in an airport. She had to change. Well, she had her whole suitcase with her, but she changed into this ugly sweater she got from her friend in the first part of the movie. Plot, I didn't give this movie a very good rating. His dad was a pilot. He died. Her mom died. His dad died. So they connected on that. But his dad was a pilot in the Army, and this kid Alex, I guess his dad was also in the Army.
No, he never said that.
He never said that. You assume that.
Looked at
Yeah, he didn't say it outright, and so he gave him his pilot wings that his dad gave him that were special to him. He hadn't been home since his dad died, and he hadn't written a song since his dad died. So that was the major thing in this movie. And he just gave this kid who was happy with his grandma his pilot wings. And that did nothing for the story.
He gave me these. I think he'd like you to have them.
Oh yeah, and his dad was a pilot, but he didn't know how to book a flight. That was one of the first things. This superstar, he's like, I don't know how to do anything. My secretary is gone, or assistant is gone.
It's an airline ticket. How hard can it be?
For the whole movie, Gail is trying to call him.
Do you need to get that?
No.
We don't know who Gail is until, I don't know, 3/4 of the movie's over. Who is this Gail? And then she gets mad because she thinks it's his fiance, and so she thought they had a thing together and they met 2 days ago. And even to add on to this guy, he's the main guy. He's a country singer who only sings Christmas songs. Only Christmas songs. He's trying to write this Christmas song to save his career. Then towards the end, they come home, and he comes back after he's apologized. He's like, well, you got any plans? She says, no, I don't have any plans. After they had just gotten home, it's still Christmas. They just got home that morning. They got home, and he left, and she had Christmas with her dad. She ends up making these, and she calls them chocolate bars, or candy bars, but they're really granola bars. She wants to put this clip art on the package, and she thinks it's a great idea. She hits send. The guys don't like it, and they're not going to give him funding. Well, in the end, we don't even know if they give them funding, but the guy eats the candy bar and says it's the greatest thing he's ever had in his life.
These are the best things I've ever tasted.
He's going to take it to the bosses up top. That's what he says, up top.
Upstairs.
Yeah, or upstairs.
Oh, he was gonna kick it up.
Yeah, he's going to kick it upstairs.
upstairs.
That's what it was.
But I'm gonna kick this upstairs.
Dialogue, I mean, I gave that 0.5. Yeah, overall, terrible movie, and it just ends. They get together, and that's about it. And anyway, it's holiday candy bars, and Christmas is over.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Okay, I had honestly pretty similar thoughts. As far as the acting goes, I felt like it was pretty poor. He said that they had bad lip syncing at the end of the movie. It was the whole time.
Yeah.
It was the whole time. There's no getting around that. Dialogue I have here, it was corny as heck. The Christmas singing country singer didn't know all the words to Away in a Manger.
I love you, Lord Jesus, look down from the sky. Stay by my cradle from morning to night.
And he was not a very good singer, even though he is famous.
A 2-time Grammy Award winner.
Yeah.
2-time Grammy Award winner only on Christmas songs, which I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But also, the picture, I said 4 out of 5, just because the view of the house is like over top was very fake. Lighting was weird. Costumes, They were fine, except you could see the microphone cords
Yeah.
through their shirts, which I feel is very unprofessional. So they arrived in Tulsa after trying to get there for 3 days, and he takes her to her house, and he's like, I don't have anything to do or anyone to see. I'm going to stay here with you. And it's like, your family's waiting for you, and you're just like, I love you, and I'm going to give you money. And then she gets mad, and then he goes home. So there was also a time where they stayed with a random friend in Joplin, Missouri, and they kept the 2 kids up all night making really gross pie.
Whatever it is absolutely divine.
And teaching them the wrong songs to Away in the Manger, which they then sang for their mother, which made her weep. And finally, Lee got a really super sentimental gift from his mom. He looked at it. It was just pictures of himself as a baby. And then he's like, I have to go see Kara. And then he left. So, I don't know. That seems weird to me. And that's what I have to say about this movie.
Okay. You know what I wrote down? Acting. Bad. That's all I wrote down.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I have pretty much the same thoughts. Not much else to say. I was really annoyed by the candy bar being called a candy bar because it was a granola bar. That just really annoyed me because it's not candy. So, yeah, he was a horrible singer. And everyone was just, they were just so happy to meet him and get his autograph. And he was terrible. Yeah, I feel like you guys touched on all the points that I had. Do you have anything to add?
I don't have much else to add. I feel like the singing was a big downside to the movie. I feel like the choir singers that they came across in a random church that they decided to go to were better than they were. I feel like all the acting was bad. The worst acting, though, was probably the fans that met him at the restaurant.
We didn't know you were in town. Are you here for a concert?
She was like, I didn't know you came through this town. Won't you sing a song for us? And he sang Deck the Halls.
But only like one line of it.
Oh, one thing that annoyed me was that he grabs the pie pan with his bare hand when it just came out of the oven.
Just hands it to him.
Yeah.
Also, his horrible snowflake cutting skills, where it's a cut piece of paper 1 minute and then the next it's an uncut piece of paper. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, now what is your rating?
My rating was 2.2 snowflakes.
Mine was 2.1 snowflakes.
Mine was 2 snowflakes.
And if you can believe it or not, mine was 1.6.
It's time for them to go home for Christmas. It's time for us to go home for Christmas. It's time for her to go home for Christmas. Was that all of them?
And him, them?
It's time for them to go home for Christmas.
Did you do him?
It's time for him to come home for Christmas.
Okay, that was us watching 3 Hallmark movies for, what time is it?
1 a.m.
What, we started at 5, 6.
1:18 in the
For
morning.
for 8 hours.
Really?
Didn't we start at like 5?
Yeah.
You know,
But
we had to
we
pick
stopped
the
for
movies,
dinner.
we had to eat dinner, we had to make hot chocolate, we had to review them.
Still
yeah.
hot chocolate
It's a
everywhere.
full day of work.
Thank you for watching movies with us.
Yeah.
Go watch these movies.
Yeah.
Or don't.
Yeah.
Hallmark channel now. Hallmark movies now.
I think that's
$6
called.
a month.
Free week trial.
Yeah.
Just put in your credit card number. Don't forget to cancel.
Yeah, because you might not want it. So yeah, we kind of enjoyed this. We hope you enjoyed watching us watch them. We're really tired, so we're gonna go to bed.
Good night.
You have last words.
Thank you, Mo. Good night, Mo. That's a tribute to our last movie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mama. You always understand me, Mama.
Time for me to go home to sleep.
Yeah. We want to thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.